Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you all the books that I read in February, which is this hefty stack here. I did actually manage to read quite a lot of books, which I'm really proud of. But yeah, I thought I would show you. I don't normally do wrap-ups. I've done like one. But I'm just so happy with the amount of books that I've read, and I read quite a few good books. Like, this is really good month. I read a lot of 4-star reads. So I thought I would share the books that I read and hopefully influence you to buy or read some of these if you haven't already. Saying that, I do have some books in here that I really didn't like. Also, a lot of these I haven't even reviewed on my Instagram, so you've got the exclusive on here. Speaking of Instagram, it is @SandingsBooks. If you want to see my thoughts on books more frequently than on here, I post most of my book reviews on there. And if you went and followed it, that would be great. Anyway, we'll get on with the video. So here are the books I read in February. I guess we'll start talking about them. So the first 4 books I'm not actually going to talk much about because I actually read all 4 of them for a video. If you want to check it out, it's my reading 5-star recommendations from Jack Edwards. It's my video before my last one, so definitely go check that out if you haven't already, and if you want to see my thoughts on these 4 books. But those 4 books are, I don't know, I'm holding about this, I'm going to have to read them anyway. But these 4 books are The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one's about a popular Hollywood star talking about her interesting life. So yep. Should I say how I rate them? I can't remember if I rated them in my previous video. Okay, I'll just say what I rated them. This one was a 5-star read for me. Then we have Loveless by Alice Oseman. This was a 3-star read. This one's about a girl figuring out her sexuality while she's at university. We have Normal People by Sally Rooney. I gave this one 2 stars. This one's about an on and off relationship between these 2 Irish kids as they grow up. Then we have Kim Jae-young, born 1982, by Cho Nam-joon, which I gave 4 stars. And this one is an in-depth look at feminism in Korea and how women are treated. And it's really interesting. So yeah, they're the first 4 books sorted already. Go check out my previous video if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts on these. And yeah, that's the first book. The next book that I read in the month of February is one that I didn't, well, I'm not gonna lie, I hated this book. It was terrible, but like, that's my opinion. If you like this book, fair enough, but it just wasn't for me, and I had a lot of gripes with it. So that is No One Is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood. And honestly, I don't think anyone should be talking about this book because it sucks. Sorry if you like this book. But like, I won't get too much into it. If you want to see my full thoughts, I have a book roast on my Instagram. But yeah, I really didn't like this book. I gave it 1 star. I would have given it none if I could. But unfortunately Goodreads doesn't let you do that. But I gave this 1 star. There's no plot until the second part of the book. The first part of the book is basically if you're on Twitter and you were just scrolling endlessly through Twitter. That's basically the first half of this book, and that carries on into the second part. But in the second part we actually get snippets of a story about this child that's dying. It was born dying basically, and it's really upsetting, but I just couldn't get attached to that story because there was so much garbage in this book, and it ruined it. It could have been like a 3-page short story about the child aspect of things, and it would have been amazing. But because she added so much technology bad, social media bad, that's so overdone nowadays, it wasn't enjoyable to read. And I honestly, I would have put it down, but I don't know, I have a problem where I can't just be like, yeah, I don't know this book, I'm gonna stop it. I end up just reading the book. But yeah, I really wouldn't recommend this book. Don't waste your time. Sorry, Patricia Lockhart, but you're right in. It's not for me. So the next book is also a book that I featured in a video. This was in my Karen's video, which is the video before this. And that is My Sister the Serial Killer. And I already talked about this book in my previous video where I was recommending it to Rail Karen. In my previous video, I already kind of discussed what it was about, but I'll just recap quickly. It's about two sisters. One's a nurse who loves this, who has a crush on this doctor that she works with, and her sister's a serial killer who is constantly killing the men she hates. I can't speak. Her sister is constantly killing the men she dates, and then all of a sudden she has eyes for her sister's doctor crush. So it kind of like, is she going to try and kill the doctor? Is she not? Like, what's going to happen? It's really good. I gave it 3 stars, but that's not a bad 3 stars. That is it was really enjoyable, but it wasn't standout 3 stars. And this book is by, I'm not going to say this right, Oykan Breathwaite. I probably should have looked that up before I filmed the video. Sorry, I probably butchered that name. But yeah, I definitely would recommend this book. It is really enjoyable. I feel like it could have been fleshed out a bit more. It was kind of fast paced, and I feel like there was moments that could have lasted a bit longer and been a bit more fleshed out. But yeah, really enjoyable read overall. Definitely recommend. 3 stars. Now the next book is one that I didn't think I would like as much as I did. And I actually read this book for university, which is Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, which I annotated. I love annotating books, but I never do it as often as I should. But yeah, this one, I don't know whether it's just because I don't like most classics that I read, that when I found one that I did, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, it's probably not as good as I actually like picture it, like, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just a classic that I like, so I'm like, oh my god, this is the best classic I've ever read. It probably doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this one. In this one, we follow 3 main protagonists, kind of. We have Basil, who's a painter. We have Lord Henry, who I don't really know what Lord Henry was even there for. He was basically just their friend, and kind of groomed Dorian. And Dorian is the 3rd character, who's kind of like this arrogant, hateable kind of upper class man. And basically Basil paints a picture of Dorian, and Dorian's jealous of the picture, and he wishes to have the use of the painting forever, which kind of leads to this development where Dorian doesn't age anymore, and all his bad acts and that are reflected in the photo, and it kind of haunts him. And we kind of follow that, and we follow his run-ins with women and confrontations. I don't know much to say about this book without spoiling it, because there's not that much to the story. But yeah, I would recommend this if you're looking for if you're looking to get into classics. This one's really good. Yeah, I don't have much else to say for that. I rated it 4 stars. Again, that could be biased because it was the first classic that I really kind of liked. But yeah, 4 stars. So this next one I actually started, I think at the start of 2021 maybe, and then I just kind of put it down and forgot about finishing it. But I finally picked it up again and finished it, and that is Rule of Wolves, which is by Leigh Bardugo, author of The Grishaverse and Ninth House. I don't know why I have to explain Leigh Bardugo, she's like a really popular author. But I gave this book, I think, 4 stars. It's kind of leaning on 3 stars, but I gave it 4 stars because I was feeling generous, and I do have an Instagram review for this one. And I'm really proud of the photo that I did for this, so go check that out. But this book, I don't really know how to explain it. It's like the 7th book in an ongoing series. But it's the 2nd one in the Nikolai duology, and basically we just follow on from the events that happened in the 1st book, and see how those further affect the world of Ravka and beyond. We also get some more Nina in this book, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed Nina more in the 1st book. In this one, it kind of felt like, what is she even doing at this point? Like the first book she had a solid plot premise, and in this one she's just kind of there for the sake of being there. And Nikolai is so sidelined in his own series, so it's like, why is it even called the Nikolai series? Like, he's barely in it. If anything, I would say this is the Zoya duology. And boy, Zoya, she's so good in this book, and she gets what she deserves, and it's so good. So yeah, definitely check this out. Obviously read the previous books in the series first. And this sets up Six of Crows 3. and I'm so excited for that book because Six of Crows is so good. I don't need to say that, the whole internet's saying that, so yeah, I'm really excited for Six of Crows 3 that will hopefully come after this one. So this next one I initially rated 3 stars, but then it's kind of one of those books that sits with you for a while and then you're like, oh, actually I think I enjoyed that a lot more than I did initially, looking back on it. And that is The Guest Cat, and I moved this up to a 4 stars. And it's just this short little translated work by Takeshi Hirade. I think I'm saying that right. It's a Japanese author. It's translated because I feel like translators should get a bit more acknowledgement. It's translated by Eric Selland. I think that's his name. Just thought I'd appreciate the translator because they're really important in the book industry. But The Guest Cat basically follows this couple that live in a Tokyo building complex, and their interactions with this really cute cat that just comes and goes in and out of their lives and has like these major impacts on these 2 people's lives. And basically we just explore the dynamics between them and the cat, between the couple and the people around them. It's really good. There are parts of the book that are kind of like tedious to read because they kind of go on and on and on a bit. But overall, I really enjoyed this book, and there's some heart-wrenching moments in there that are just too relatable at the moment. And I would definitely recommend this if you're into more poetic work. I think the author is actually a poet, and this is one of his few actual novels. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Would definitely recommend it. It's only short. It's like 100 pages, 140 pages. So that's a quick, easy read if you're into that. Also, look at the cover. It's so pretty. Like, it has like a nice tea stained. I don't know if that shows up on the camera. And there's a little cat with glowing green eyes. The next book that I read was Punching the Air by Ibia Zaboy and Youssef Salam. And basically this book follows... Why do I keep doing the synopsis but rugging my in? I rated this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's written in verse. And basically we follow Amal, who is a boy who is wrongfully incarcerated for being a part of this like fight amongst a group of people. And we follow his journey in prison, and we follow on his trial is like ongoing as he's in prison. So it's kind of like, will the jury find him innocent or guilty? And that's kind of like the overlingering questions in the story. But we basically follow him inside the prison and his experiences. And it's a really good book. It's written in verse, and I haven't read a book in verse for a long while. So it kind of took me a moment to get back into it, and it was one of those books where I read like a chunk and then put it down and then get back to it. But yeah, I definitely recommend this. The ending is very ambiguous, which works for the story, but I was just like, I need to know what happened. Like, tell me what happened. But yeah, it's a really good book. Okay, we're getting closer to the end now, so stick with me. But the second to last book that I read, I was going to say this month, it's March. The second to last book I read in February was Animal Farm. As you can tell, I have like a really beat up copy. This is actually like an old... I'll just cover the school name. This is actually an old school book that I found in a skip, and I was like, oh, like, who puts a book in a skip, firstly? But I kind of like rescued it. It's very beat up, but like it's from like 1967. Like, that's so cool. So I picked that up. And basically, again, this is a classic that I found myself actually really enjoying. And I really like George Orwell's writing style, so I do look forward to reading 1984 next. But basically, I gave this book 4 stars. Basically, we follow a British farm, and the animals overthrow the farmer, and it becomes kind of like this socialist utopia kind of place, until it doesn't, and the pigs, who are the smartest animals on the farm, decide to take over and become bloodthirsty dictators. So it's a really interesting concept. I've read reviews that basically say it is like a reflection of the Russian Revolution, which I actually did in college for A levels, but I can't remember that much about it. But I can kind of see how this follows that structure of history. I do English. But yeah, I kind of like to just look at it at face value of these like evil pigs, but that's just me. But yeah, Animal Farm, 4 stars. really easy, quick read, would recommend. The next book that I read was All Systems Red by Martha Wells. I haven't read that much sci-fi, so reading this one was really fun. This is like a short novella version. It's like one of these ones, Every Hard Doorway, where it's like really thin. So I audiobooked it because I couldn't bring myself to buy them for like they're £15 each for this. Like I could get 2 full-size books for that. So I audiobooked it instead. And I am debating buying the physical copies now because I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 5 stars. And basically you follow this like really socially anxious, like artificial intelligence robot thing that has like a job of protecting humans on space missions. And yeah, we just follow, in this book we follow one of those space missions, and it all goes wrong, and basically we see how they adapt to this, and we basically see how this robot is social anxious, and it's like, I don't want to save these humans, but I guess I will because I'm have to. And it's really good, really recommend. I don't want to say too much about it because again it's a short novel, so it's easy to spoil the story and I don't want to do that. But the audiobook was really good for this one as well. So yeah, if you're looking to get into sci-fi like me, then check out this series because it's really enjoyable and I can't wait for the next ones. So that is it for my February wrap up. These are all the books, excluding All Systems Red, obviously. But yeah, I'm really proud of this month. I read quite a lot of books. I don't think I'll ever read this much again in 1 month. I mean, I might, but I don't really have the motivation at the moment to do that. But yeah, I'm just really proud of all these books. Hi again. I actually left this video quite a while to actually edit. So I have another stack of books to talk about. So make sure to stick around if you want to hear about these. It'd be much appreciated. There's not much, and I'll try and get through them rather quickly. But yeah, this is now a February/March wrap up, because I procrastinated editing the first half of this video. So let's get through them. So the first book that I read in March was Yolk. I already reviewed this on my Instagram, so I won't say much here, but basically this book follows Jane and her sister, June, I forgot her name then, Jane and June, and they live in New York, and they don't have the best relationships. But then when June is diagnosed with cancer, they are kind of brought back together, and we kind of see how they rebuild this sisterly relationship and deal with all the trauma and stuff that's gone on in their lives, and it's really good. I did only give it 3 stars. I keep dropping all the books. I did only give it 3 stars, but that's a good 3 stars. There was a lot about this book that I feel like could have been built up more or could have been developed more, and I couldn't really see myself giving it 5 or 4 stars. So it's 3 stars, 3.5 if you want 0.5s. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this. It is a lot of fun. Well, I say fun, it's very depressing, but yeah. So the next 2 books I'm going to talk about are 2 that I did for uni, so I'm just going to talk about them together, even though they weren't necessarily read one after the other. And that is The Bloody Chamber, which is like a group of fairy tales that are rewritten in a feminist perspective. This is by Angela Carter. And then I have Beloved by Toni Morrison. This one follows the life of an ex-slave as she kind of is haunted by the after effects of slavery. She had to kill her child because she thought killing her child would be better than it going into slavery, and we kind of follow along as she relives this, and we kind of follow along as she relives this trauma, and the ghost of her child comes back to haunt her in a way. And yeah, they were both really good read, both annotated and sticky tabbed. The next one I read was The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea. It's a mouthful. This one is by Yukio Mishima, and this one is a Japanese classic. We follow the relationship between a stepfather and the son as this like new stepfather figure comes in, and yeah, it's really dark. And I went into this, I just picked this up, I was genuinely just interested in it, and I did not expect it to be as dark as it was. Like, there's two scenes that I'm thinking of right now, and there's one in the middle and there's the end. And yeah, I definitely recommend you read this because it's a bit slow going at points, but when it picks up, and it is so interesting and dark and twisted. I love it. And it's also, there's a prettier cover than this, and I'm really sad that I got this lame cover compared to like the nice blue one that there is. But yeah, definitely recommend. Yeah. The next book I got was You've Reached Sam, which definitely did not pick up just because it had my name in the title. But this one follows, this one's by Dustin Teo, I think, Thao, Teo. This one follows Julie and her boyfriend Sam has recently died, but when she calls him to hear his voicemail again one more time, he picks up. And that concept just grabbed me. Like, that sounds so cool, and I think it was really handled really well. I feel like it could have been developed a bit more. I would like to have known a bit more of like how it happened, why it happened, and kind of that. But what we got was really good. It's not as like devastatingly sad as it had been promoted as, that I'd seen other people saying that this book broke them, this book was so sad. I didn't really feel that sad. Like, there were some parts where I was like, oh, but there was like, it wasn't like, oh my god, this book, as like some other books have done. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed at that because it had been hyped up all this and it didn't meet that for me. It might meet it for you, but yeah, I do recommend this one. I say that for every single book. I do recommend all these books. And it's so pretty. Like, look at that cover. Like, taking pictures of this with the blossom tree in my garden for Instagram was so fun, but also so frustrating because I was like trying to get like a nice angle. So check that out because I think it came out really well. But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Definitely recommend. I feel like also some of the side characters could have been developed. I'm just sticking that on at the end. Now, the last two books that I read in March, as of now, I still have 2 days left, so hopefully I can finish another one if I can sneak it in, but I'm filming this video now, so it doesn't matter. So the next two books I read are like the second and third book in a series that I've been wanting to get finished, and those are the Magnus Chase Chronicles, maybe? Trilogy? I'll just say Chronicles. The Magnus Chase Chronicles, which are The Hammer of Thor and The Ship of the Dead, second and third. And these were by Rick Riordan. I don't really know what to say about these. Basically, in the first book, we follow Magnus Chase, who is a demigod, but this time, instead of focusing on the Greek kind of stuff with the Percy Jackson world, we follow the Norse mythology in these. So we've got Thor, Loki, Odin, that kind of thing. Kind of like the Marvel characters, but nowhere near them. So don't worry, they're not just carbon copies. And yeah, I enjoyed these. I gave them both 4 stars. I wasn't as invested in this world as I was with the Greek world. Like, I really enjoyed all the Greek mythology and the Greek gods. And then when it came to like the Norse mythology and the Norse gods in this, I wasn't as connected, I wasn't as interested. Which kind of like put a dent on the thing as well, because like the main villain is Loki in a good chunk of these books, and I just couldn't imagine him as a different character to the Marvel Loki.
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
And that really got on my nerves. That's totally my fault. But I couldn't separate the two, and it kind of like, I just wasn't as connected, and it didn't feel like the threat in these books were as like world-ending, world stakes kind of thing as like the Percy Jackson ones. And I know you don't really need that necessarily for every series, but like Rick Riordan has done it so many times that you kind of expect it, and then when it doesn't happen, you kind of like, oh, they did this, well done. So yeah, I wasn't as connected, but I will say the characters in these books were phenomenal. I loved every single one of them. There was Blitz, Hearthstone, who were like the dwarf and elf, and they were so cute together. Especially Hearthstone's journey in these 2 books was really sad, but also so wholesome. So Alex Fierro in these books was definitely my favourite character. They are actually the first gender fluid character that I've ever read in a book, so if you got any recommendations for more books with that in, I would love to have them. But I loved them, and they were just so cool, and I loved them so much. And I can't say more because I don't want to spoil anything. Magnus, I did like Magnus. He wasn't my favourite. I definitely didn't like him in the first book, but for these two books, he definitely got better. And yeah, so the characters in this book were definitely the best. The plot and the mythology used were not necessarily my favourite. And quickly, the last book I read, I don't actually have it, I audiobooked it, is the Demigod Diaries, which is part of this Rick Riordan world, but for Percy Jackson, and that was just some pretty cool stuff. It was really good. So I don't have a thing to hold up. So yeah, that is my March wrap up as of now. Spin them around. Those books. So I hope that was a fun addition to the video. Yeah, I'll quickly show you the book that I'm reading right now, which I'm hoping to get done before the end of March. If I don't, forget this part of the video. But I'm currently reading The Taking of Jake Livingston by Ryan Douglas, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm not far in. I'm hoping to finish it. If I do, follow my Instagram and you'll know if I finished it and what I said about it. But yeah, that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. Comment and tell me if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts were. If you've got any recommendations for gender fluid books. I think that's all I have to say. So yeah, just follow my Instagram. I said that like a million times this video. I'm more active on Instagram than I am on YouTube. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great, what month is after? Have a great April. Yeah, bye.